Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Patriot Nation TV. I'm your host, Tim Davis, aka Professor X, your new age patriot with the 1776 attitude. Just one man, one opinion, trying to connect the dots, make sense of it all in this bizarre world. It is Tuesday, January 4th, 2022. And the topic is what the founders actually thought about slavery and what the 3/5 compromise was about. I'm going to try to do the show in under 10 minutes, 10 to 12 minutes. That's what I'm going to do. All right. And so let me start off by saying like this. What the founders actually thought about slavery. One of the ironies of the current American leftist elite, these progressive liberals, is that rather than actually being elite, they have a smug self-assurance of knowing much that isn't so. Right? In other words, what Ronald Reagan said, it's not that our liberal friends are ignorant, it's that they know so much that isn't so. Same thing, right? Recently, a video of South Bend, Indiana Mayor Pete Buttigieg, a Harvard University grad and a Rhodes Scholar, explaining to a group of high school students why the Constitution has an amendment process. He now serves in Joe Biden's administration, ran for president, Pete Buttigieg. I think he had like 2 months paternity leave. Anyway, he was correct to say that the framers created a process to change the Constitution in the future, but then followed up with this profoundly absurd statement. He said, the people who wrote the Constitution did not understand that slavery was a bad thing. That's what this guy said, right? And there's plenty of proof that he's absolutely wrong. There was much to unpack in this short, wild, crazy, insane, incorrect sentence. It reflects both the kind of pernicious education Americans receive in schools all across the country, as well as the mindset of the progressive elites, so-called elites, leftists, liberals, sick breed of people. For one, it demonstrates the progressive mindset that mankind is always improving, that we are a necessity, smarter and morally superior than those who came before us. As the rise of Nazi Germany and other repugnant ideologies of the 20th century should be sufficient to refute the idea that moral progress necessarily follows technological progress. History is not a simple wheel of progress, but a raging river of often unexpected dangerous turns that few can predict. More importantly, for the understanding of history, anyone with a basic understanding of the founding era knows that the founders were all too aware that slavery was a bad thing. They know it. The early conflicts of slavery. Slavery pervaded the whole world of the late 18th century. And the newly formed United States emerged as an independent country with slavery still deeply ingrained in the social and political system. While many accept slavery as an inescapable way of life, public debates over the morality of slavery erupted as early as the American Revolution. The adoption of the Declaration, so on and so on. The contradiction was obvious. How could a nation founded on the proposition that all men are created equal keep a certain segment of the population in perpetual bondage? When Thomas Jefferson wrote that line about the fundamental equality of men in the Declaration of Independence, he really meant all men, not just all white men, what they're trying to push off today. The founding generation grappled with this contradiction, yet also understood how deeply entrenched slavery was in American society. While one can argue that they didn't know nearly enough to put out the abominable practice to throw water on those flames in their generation, It's clear that there were serious attempts to put slavery on the path to extinction as soon as the country became into existence. Debates erupted at the Constitutional Convention, Federalist Papers, Anti-Federalist Papers. It's all about it, about what exactly to do about slavery, how to mitigate its effects, and how to put it into the ultimate path of extinction. Governor Morris, Robert Morris, there's a college after him, the author of the preamble of the Constitution, said in one ferocious debate that slavery was a curse of heaven on the states where it prevailed. James Madison, sometimes referred to as the father of the Constitution for his role in cataloging and shaping the debates of the convention, said it is wrong to omit in the Constitution the idea that there could be property in men. The reality is, most of the framers knew and stated that slavery was a bad thing. They knew far more personally than we do today what the effects of this institution were. They knew more then than what we do today. But unlike modern Americans, the founders didn't have the luxury of empty moralization about the institutions of evils. They had to confront and deal with them in a practical way that would also destroy the fragile new nation. Hence the three-fifths compromise. This brings us to the three-fifths compromise that's so pervertedly abused to fit people's narratives. I'm going to simplify the complex with this. An agreement that allowed slave states to partially count slaves in a political representation, yet also mitigated the South's power. This compromise was neither pro nor anti-slavery, nor did it somehow concede that men kept in bondage were actually three-fifths of a human. This was purely a practical, political compromise to hold the Union together while still avoiding the legal recognition of slavery. Slaves were defined by law, as other persons, never as slaves. The founders took other measures to put slavery on the path to extinction, including the Northwest Ordinance passed in 1787 under the Articles of Confederation and based on a plan devised by Jefferson in 1784, which forbade slavery in states carved out of the Northwest Territory. Generations later, these states like Ohio, Wisconsin, Minnesota provided a manpower the Union would need to win the Civil War. And then there was the act prohibiting importations of slaves, which prohibited the slave trade by the year of 1808. President Thomas Jefferson, the third president, implemented that policy. Taking down his statues, though. Of course, the inability to extinguish, to put out slavery was only finally resolved by the most terrible and costly war in American history, a civil war that nearly brought our experiment in liberty to an end. Thankfully, our nation experienced a new birth of freedom, and today we enjoy a nation united under the Constitution and free of slavery, unless you're a slave debt to taxation. I always say that. So getting back to this whole thing, distorting American history, this woke crowd. I read a little short book. I was in Barnes & Noble about an hour and a half. I just a little tiny thing. I didn't buy it, just read it. It's called The War on History, the conspiracy to rewrite America's past. Pretty good. Took little notes down on it. There is currently a wide-scale effort to change the way Americans view our history. See it over Facebook. Anything you see it. Facebook, Instagram, news, sports. To diminish the good about the men and the ideas that shaped our past, and to create a new narrative about the country's origins to fit the goals of modern, mostly left-wing, progressive elites politics. Basically, their buffoonery, their ideology. This is the aim of the misguided 1619 Project, the New York Times, which openly states that it's been created to reframe America's past around the idea that slavery and white supremacy are the basis of all Americans, civilization. Just before this is the distortation of America's past, which includes both failures and triumphs, slavery and freedom, but an undeniable trend towards liberty. We must reject the idea that America is exceptionally evil nation, as well as the illusion that we are an inevitable upward continual of perpetual improvement and progress. Both ideas are falsehoods and errors. Liberty did not advance in America on the basis that some inevitable moral progress or our inherited superiority. It came by recognizing timeless truths about human nature and a form of government that best suits free men. That is why informed patriotism is so essential, especially in a massive and diverse republic like the United States. We're divided more than what we were during the Civil War. Today, it is important that we come to a better understanding of the principles that built a remarkable, successful nation, build on its best qualities and reject the obnoxious, revisionist reframing of our history that poisons young minds and disintegrates the mystic cords of a memory that binds us all together, like the American flag. Something so simple as that. Christmas, Thanksgiving. You don't like it, you don't celebrate it, just don't do it. But anyway, okay, I've been on, 12 minutes? Okay, I said between 10 to 15 minutes. So let me say thanks to everybody for tuning in. Like I always say, if you tune in for the first time to the channel, please hit like, subscribe, the notification bell, ding, ding, ding. Get updated on future shows. Everybody's tuned in previously, thanks for tuning in. I appreciate everything. Appreciate everybody tuning in. It's great. I got to see Mexico for Life is on. I'm a little late to tuning in, but it's good. James, how you doing, buddy? Tommy, what's up, bud? Yes, enough with this racism crap. It's ridiculous. Yes, it has been, James, it's been implemented in critical race theory in schools and business. It's ridiculous. But anyway, like I said, my comment section was a little fuzzy earlier. But I'm going to tune out, guys. So like I said, thanks for tuning in. I'm going to say God bless. God bless you. God bless America. Talk to you guys soon. Hope you enjoy the show. Good night. Bye-bye.